Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. Herschel Walker is the big name in the news this week. I don't really care about Herschel Walker. Not a shocker that he's a sleazebag, but I do think the reaction to what's been going on with Herschel Walker and his very clear hypocrisy over abortion, the reaction from Republican voters is quite interesting. But before we get to all that, let's just do a rehash. If you don't know about the story, Daily Beast reported a couple days ago that Walker, who, like most Republicans running, is calling for a complete ban on abortion, including in case of rape, incest, life of the mother, that many years ago, he paid for a woman that he impregnated to get an abortion. The Daily Beast had receipts and a letter that Walker had sent to the woman telling her to get well and a check. So, of course, Walker came out, crying, this is all, it's all anonymous sources. The accuser is anonymous. I don't know who the accuser is, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, the Daily Beast knew who the accuser was. Well, the next day, meaning late last night, the Daily Beast has a follow-up. She had an abortion with Herschel Walker. She also has a child with him. I'll read just a little bit. After a woman revealed that Republican senatorial candidate Herschel Walker had urged her to have an abortion, Walker adamantly denied the story and claimed he had no idea who this woman could be. But there's a good reason the woman finds that defense highly doubtful. She's the mother of one of his children. On Wednesday morning, Fox News host Brian Kilmeade asked Walker whether he had figured out the woman's identity based on the details of the original report. Not at all, Walker replied. And that's what I hope everyone can see. It's sort of like everyone is anonymous or everyone is leaking and they want you to confess to something you have no clue about. Walker then spun the report as an attack from desperate Democrats eager to maintain control of the pivotal Senate seat. The woman registered, sure, I was stunned, but I guess it also doesn't shock me that maybe there are just so many of us that he truly doesn't remember, the woman who accused him said. But then again, if you really forgot about it, that says something too. Let me repeat. This is the woman who is accusing Walker of paying for her abortion, who also had a separate child, a living child, with Walker. Obviously, the woman had provided evidence that Walker was the father of her child to the Daily Beast. She's saying, sure, I was stunned, but I guess it doesn't shock me that maybe there are just so many of us that he truly doesn't remember. So, I'll leave that to your imagination. If she's saying there are more women that he paid for abortions, or he's just been with so many women, how could he remember whose abortion he paid for, or, which woman is who? Either way, the Daily Beast later in the article point out that they, got verification that this woman indeed has a child with Herschel Walker. The woman's name has still been kept anonymous. I'm assuming it'll come out at some point. But let's take a look at kind of the Trumpian, the sky is green, facts don't matter. Herschel Walker this morning, even though it is now one of the mothers of his children, I think he's got 4 children by 4 different women, he's still denying this. Let's take a look.
Again, Herschel, the Daily Beast has updated the story about your paying for a woman's abortion. The anonymous woman has now also alleged that she had a child by you. Your response?
I'll say with the same thing I said, that, I know this is untrue. I know it's untrue, and they keep telling me things like that, and it's totally, totally untrue. And I'm not sure why that will be told. I know nothing about any woman having an abortion, and so they can keep coming at me like that, and they're doing it because they want to distract people. I know that because I've already been forgiven, and if I've been forgiven, why in the world will I not be forgiven of something like that? And I'm not saying being forgiven. Go ahead.
Is there anything you need to be forgiven for vis-a-vis a woman whose name we do not know? Do you know who this woman is, and do you need to be forgiven?
Well, that's what's so funny. And I'm saying I've been forgiven because of all the things I did when I went to the thing with my ex-wife and all that, and things I did, I don't know how many years ago that I wrote in my book. I said, guys, I wasn't perfect. I had my problem with mental health, and I've been born again, but I have a new life, and I've been moving forward, and if that had happened, I would have said it, because there's nothing to be ashamed of there. People have done that, but I know nothing about it, and if I knew about it, I would be honest and talk about it, but I know nothing about that.
Yeah, he knows absolutely nothing about one of the mothers of his children having an abortion that he paid for. And I have a six-pack. So obviously, he's kind of full of it. He clearly knows who this woman is and is denying it. And since the right-wing echo chamber doesn't particularly care or have any core moral family values principles, they're just going to kind of let him lie, and that'll be that. What's interesting to me about that is he kind of frames himself somehow as born again, right? Well, the woman, the mother of his child, who claims that he paid for her abortion, so one abortion, but they do have a living child together, she says it's kind of an act. I'll read a little bit more from this Daily Beast story. I've been very civil thus far, the woman says. I keep my mouth shut. I don't cause any trouble. I stay in the background, but I'm also not going to get run over time and time again, she said. That's crazy. Asked about the role faith played in Walker's life, the anonymous woman, who identifies as a Christian herself, said even though Walker often talked about Christianity, he uses it, quote, when it works for him. She said Walker frequently talked about being a Christian, but never once expressed any misgivings about abortion generally, or any regret about the one that they had. When she got pregnant again years later, the woman says she made a different choice, even though Walker said it still wasn't, quote, a convenient time for him. Quote, he didn't express any regret. He said, relax and recover, the woman recalled, alluding to the message on the Get Well card Walker sent her along with the abortion payment. Quote, he seemed pretty pro-choice to me. He was pro-choice, obviously. I don't think there's anywhere in the Bible where it says have 4 kids with 4 different women while you're with another woman, or where it praises not being a present parent, or that an abortion is an okay thing to do when it's not the right time for you, but a terrible thing for anyone else to do when you're running for Senate. He picks and chooses where it's convenient for him to use that religious crutch. What's really stood out to me here, it seems that when she got pregnant again years later, she made a different choice, meaning to have the child. It seems like Walker wanted her to get an abortion this second time too. He said it's not a convenient time for him. So again, the part of this that's surprising, or at least worthy of talking about, it's not so much that he's a sleazeball, which is it shocking? It's the Republican reaction, even after his own son dropped the T on him. This is his son, Christian Walker, who has been very supportive of his father during this campaign. But once this Daily Beast story came out, even he had enough. He tweeted, I know my mom and I would really appreciate if my father, Herschel Walker, stopped lying and making a mockery of us. You're not a family man when you left us to bang a bunch of women, threatened to kill us, and had us move over 6 times in 6 months, running from your violence. I don't care about someone who had a bad past and takes accountability, but how dare you lie and act as though you're some moral, Christian, upright man? You've lived a life of destroying other people's life. How dare you? And he also had some words via video. Let's take a look.
I stayed silent as the atrocities committed against my mom were downplayed. I stayed silent when it came out that my father, Herschel Walker, had all these random kids across the country, none of whom he raised. And you know my favorite issue to talk about is father absence. Surprise, because it affected me. That's why I talk about it all the time, because it affected me. Family values, people. He has 4 kids, 4 different women, wasn't in the house raising one of them. He was out having sex with other women. Do you care about family values? I was silent, lie after lie after lie. The abortion card drops yesterday. It's literally his handwriting in the card. They say they have receipts, whatever. He gets on Twitter. He lies about it. Okay, I'm done. Done. Everything has been a lie. And so for the right to say I'm being suspicious for saying, hey, I'm done with the lies, when you all have been calling me saying, is this true about your dad? Gosh, we're not going to win Georgia, this candidate, that's been you. You have no idea what I've been through in my life. You have no idea what me and my mom have survived. We could have ended this on day one. We haven't. I haven't told any stories. I'm just saying, don't lie. Don't lie on my mom. Don't lie on me. Don't lie on the lives you've destroyed and act like you're some moral family man. Y'all should care about that, conservatives. And then for people on the left to act as though I'm responsible for all of the things that he has done. I've talked about Father Epps. I've talked all these issues because they've been close to me. Because they matter to me, because I went through it. That's why I've talked about it. So when you say, well, talk about your dad, but I'm saying this behavior is atrocious. Don't come for me. You don't have to like my politics. You don't have to like me. You don't have to. I'm just saying I'm done with the lies.
I'm done with the lies. Well, I don't know. I guess it depends on your definition of family values. But doesn't really seem like Republicans care too much about this. Here is lunatic pro NRA. I think she worked for the NRA for a long time. Dana Loesch on Herschel Walker's apparent hypocrisy and paying for abortions himself.
So I don't care if Herschel Walker paid to abort endangered baby eagles. I want control of the Senate. If the Daily Beast story is true, you're telling me Walker used his money to reportedly pay some skank for an abortion, and Warnock wants to use all of our monies to pay a whole bunch of skanks for abortions.
So basically all the moral posturing and gaslighting is really just bullshit. I want control of the Senate. And hey, listen, I get it. This, politics is a game of animals. And, maybe some voters have core principles, but in my experience, politicians do not. But the interesting thing about this, in general, maybe like 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like this would make a big difference, like an October surprise, if something scandalous came out about a candidate. But I think kind of the Trumpification of America is, in a lot of cases, when a candidate is exposed as a liar, a cheat, a fraud, it almost helps them do better. Actually, after this story came out, the original story with the Daily Beast, Walker set fundraising records in the next 24 hours. So I'm not really sure if Republican voters are going to care about this because, frankly, I don't really think Republican voters give a damn about family values. I think their definition of family values actually is marriage between a man and a woman. Men are men, women are women, i.e. anti-trans kind of stuff. I think their idea of family values, frankly, is from a paternal perspective, meaning women have a certain more submissive role. Not all Republicans, but a whole lot of them. And the man is the man and the woman has her role. I don't really think their idea of family values really revolves around, is the husband faithful? I don't really think their idea of family values circa 2022 is this guy running on, being pro-life and not killing the unborn. But wait a minute, he paid for abortions himself? Oh, well, things happen. Well, actually, in one case, let me show you this. This is from Igor Bobich for the Huffington Post. I spent the day talking to voters in battleground Georgia counties about the Walker revelations. They're holding their nose and sticking with him if it means a Senate win. We're all sinners, one woman said. We've all done some things we're not proud of. Yeah. And again, when I say the Trumpification, remember, evangelical voters came around to Donald Trump after, 3 marriages, cheating on multiple wives, allegations of sexual harassment or assault by, I think it was nearly 20 women, the Access Hollywood tapes, I grab them by the pee. Those evangelicals suddenly had flexible family values. So we'll see what happens. I mean, listen, Herschel Walker is facing incumbent Raphael Warnock, who has only been in there since 2020. He won the special election. The average of polls is Warnock is up by almost 4 points, which is within the margin of error. Recent poll, the most recent poll has Warnock up by 3. Other polls have him up by much more. Others polls have a tie. It could be closer than we think. Warnock is your dime a dozen corporate Democrat, so he's nothing to ride home about. But it will be very, very interesting if Walker could pull it out, because that would be pretty much the final nail in the coffin of Republican family values. And by the way, if Walker wins, it could tip the Senate to the Republicans.